Thank you for the fantastic introduction to this particular seminar and to this particular session. Um, you know, there's a very pertinent aspect about collective security. And collective security is not just a strategy, it is the recognition that the safety of one is inseparable from the safety of all. This is something which Kofi Annan had stated. Now, the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or the Quad, comprising India, the US, Japan, and Australia, it's emerged as a pivotal framework for collective security in the Indo-Pacific region, which in turn is one of the biggest flashpoints for geopolitical contestations and great power rivalry. As opposed to the previous epochs of history, which were largely unipolar and bipolar as well, this 21st century that we live through is largely multipolar. But the fact here is that this great power contestation that we now see between US and China, it is something which was not seen. The scale of this was never seen in the previous epochs of history. The existing international system, since its inception after the Second World War, has tried to navigate challenges through various sorts of dialogues, through diplomacy, through negotiations. The effort has had been to keep wars of the scale of the two world wars away. But unfortunately, what we now see is a retreat to the previous epochs of history. We see multiple formats of conflicts and wars. Over and above that, what has also now emerged in the 21st century is this very potent tool by certain states. This tool is called terrorism, and this non traditional security threat has come to acquire the center stage of international politics. Um, Even though it's a non traditional security challenge, it does affect states, of course, but it affects states because it affects civilians in particular. Um, the rules based international order somehow has been trying to grapple with this particular challenge which has now emerged. What we now also see is other different formats of peculiar and unseen forms of territorial annexation, artificial islands, restriction of the freedom of navigation, disruption of underground sea cables, and so on. These are all previously unseen challenges. So, in this context, ensuring that the existing international rules based order remains stable, this should not be the responsibility just of the hegemon or of the United States of America, which is currently the leading power. But since all these problems affect all responsible stakeholders, it is a problem which needs to be addressed together. Because, as Kofi Annan said, the safety of one is inseparable from the safety of all. Quad, I'm pretty sure you've heard it multiple times since yesterday, initiated in 2007, revitalized in 2017. The Quad has been aiming to promote a free, open, and inclusive Indo Pacific, trying to counter challenges posed by regional assertiveness. It's not a formal military alliance, but this is what gives it the very brilliant characteristic which allows it to have multiple cooperative mechanisms, which include joint military exercises, intelligence sharing, non traditional security initiatives, and so on. India's Sagar, or Security and Growth for All, is also particular in this context because some of the visions within Sagar actually align with what the Quad is looking for. Quad emphasizes on international law. That's also something which the Sagar would want to propagate and would want to contribute to. The United Nations Convention of the Laws of the Seas is something which is of interest not just to India, not just to Sagar, but to all the other Quad members as well. Therefore, it's important that we have a specific focus on the Quad and Sagar. And I've spoken for a bit too long. We have a brilliant panel today, and I look forward to listening to each one of them because they're going to speak of different area dynamics and different sorts of combinations. So, without further ado, may I request Sir to please take the stage.